And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, and now it's a movie Tuesday. A movie Tuesday. Until a movie Tuesday.
Hello, and welcome to Movie Chewsday, where I talk about news, movies, or trailers, and movies. I'm apologizing right off the bat because I am super tired. It's been a very, very busy week for me. I'm hoping that I wake up more as I get into recording this whole thing. Let's go ahead and start off with the news. So, coming from Screen Rant, a man was stabbed by a person kicking his seat in a movie theater. Now, I want to say this story is important because I have another story about a horrible movie theater experience, and reading about or talking about this story is going to answer the question of people when they ask me, why don't I do something about it? Like confront someone. And this story right here is why I don't confront people in the theater. So now if you pay attention to what I just said about that story, the person whose chair was getting kicked was stabbed by the kickee. Okay? It should be the other way around, right? You know, your chair's getting kicked, you're getting pissed off, and you turn around and just flat out stab somebody. Like, that would make sense, right? But no, this person's sitting there trying to enjoy the movie. His chair's getting kicked. He turns around, and he says, "What the fuck, man? Why you keep kicking my chair? Stop." And the other person, fucking stabs him and runs off. Like, are you kidding me right now? Is that really what it's come down to? So, I guess the dude got stabbed. It was a girl, and it was a guy with her, and the girl was the one who did the stabbing. Obviously, she felt threatened or whatever. So, I mean, I don't want to totally take the person's chair getting kicked side, because maybe he was maybe too overly aggressive with her or something. I don't know, but the fact that it reverted to or came to her stabbing this person is fucking crazy, and then her running off like a little bitch. But apparently she got caught. Her and her boyfriend or husband, whoever he was, or friend, got caught. They went into custody. She got released, but then the male friend stayed behind. So I'm assuming that he must have took the blame for it and said just let her go, like she's innocent. Which, you're a good man to do that, because I wouldn't do that shit. My chick stabbed somebody, I ain't taking the fall for it. I'm like, yeah, she stabbed that person. Send her to jail so she can get butt raped and not me, okay? Because I ain't stabbing anybody. I ain't crazy. This shit. I mean, well, getting back to the story, the guy that got stabbed, I guess it wasn't anything serious. It had to have been a flesh wound, because the story was saying that he got treated at the movie theater, so he didn't have to go to the hospital or anything like that. So she probably just grazed him a little bit, and they put a band-aid on him and gave him some free movie tickets, and he went off about his day. Honestly, dude, if that was me, if I was that guy, that would have been my opportunity to just be like, I don't want free movie tickets. I want private screenings for life. Okay, because I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. I ain't trying to get stabbed again. So you need to be letting me see all the fucking movies I want by my lonely in a theater, or otherwise I'm suing. That would have been me in that situation. But that shit right there is why I don't confront people in the theater, even if they're being the biggest assholes. I really want to, and it takes every fiber of my being not to do something, but it's just, I always revert back to, I'm either going to get shot, which is a very big possibility where I'm at, because I'm in Arizona, where it is legal to carry a weapon at all, or at most times or whatever. So you never know who's packing in the movie theater. So I ain't trying to get shot. I'm not trying to get beat up, because I haven't been in a fight in a while, so I don't know if I will win or not. But I don't want to get into a fight, I don't want people waiting for me outside the theater to beat my ass. Because two things are going to happen if it comes to that. I'm either going to get my ass kicked, or I'm going to totally lose my shit and end up killing somebody, because when I fight, it's equivalent to Craig and Friday. I will bash your head in with a rock if I get my hands on it. And in Arizona, there's a shitload of rocks laying around. So like, I ain't trying to fight somebody over a movie of all things. But it's shit like that, dude. What I'm saying is just I'm tired. I'm fed up with going to the movies now, man, because people are just, they're assholes, dude. It's really bad. Getting to my recent incident in the theater. So this past weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out, which we'll be talking about later. My other half thought that it would be a great idea to go see that movie over the weekend in the afternoon. That's a horrible time to go see a movie like that, of that caliber, because over the weekend, in the afternoon, you're inviting people with their kids. You're inviting a younger audience who can't shut the fuck up in the movie or turn their cell phones off. You're just getting a whole array of shit going on in the theater at that time. But we ended up going, and it was a clusterfuck, just like I knew it would be. So, like, we get into the theater, right? And it's already packed. Because normally what happens is when I go into a theater, because I usually see movies late at night. It's best to see movies like first thing in the morning, because you're going to run into mostly old people, and old people are more than likely respectful during the movie. Like, they don't talk. They're not like checking their phones and shit. At least the ones that I've been to, like, old people are cool. They're real chill in the movie theater first thing in the morning, right? Over the weekday is the best time to do that. The weekend is like a coin flip, because you're going to get old people, but you're also probably going to get parents who are trying to bring their kids in so that they're not as disruptive in a full theater. So, first thing in the morning is a good time to go. Late at night is a good time to go as well. That can also kind of be a toss up, because, you know, there could be like a younger audience or whatever going at that time too, but usually they got to wake up early for work or school. So more than likely you could kind of like have the movie theater to yourself, or maybe have a couple of people in there, but those are like the best times to go. In the afternoon, like, it's packed, you know, everyone's in there. You got all shapes and sizes and age ranges. It's crazy. So normally what I would do in like a situation where the theater is not as packed, if someone's being disruptive by me, I will get up and move to a different section of the theater to where I can't hear them. And hopefully that will work. Usually it does, but sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, I will get up and walk out and just be like, hey, I can't enjoy this movie because people are being a bunch of fucking asshats. So hook me up with some free tickets. I get the free tickets and I go see the movie another time. I hate doing that because I want to see the movies now. All right. But anyway, we go into the theater. It's packed. So we sit down. Red flag number one, we can't get an aisle seat. I need an aisle seat because my significant other has a very weak bladder. She has the bladder of a toddler. You know, you give her a drop of water, she's got to pee like a couple minutes later. So that's like red flag number one. We're sitting in the middle of a crowd. So we're sitting there. To my side is a guy and his kids. I want to say he had like maybe 2 or 3 with him, right? Now I'm going to give this dude a little bit of a pass because it's over the weekend. It's in the afternoon. You know, you're taking your kids. You want to see Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not your fault. That's more Marvel's fault. It's my significant other's fault, and it's Marvel's fault for making movies that seem kid-friendly, but they're not really kid-friendly at all. So, and they're really not, because all through the movie, all I could hear was his kid asking him, "Daddy, what does that mean? Daddy, what does he see? What's happening right now? I don't understand what's going on. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." Like, it was pissing me off. But, like, I give him a little bit of a pass. He gets a little bit of a pass because in Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, the whole thing, like one of the main attractions of the movies is the soundtrack that they play, which is like oldie but goodie music. This motherfucker is next to me singing every song that comes on like we're listening to the radio right now. And I'm just kind of like sitting there out of the corner of my eye just like, are you fucking serious right now? You know? So that's why he gets a little bit of a pass. His kids can get a pass, but he doesn't get a pass. He's a fucking asshat, okay? To my significant other side, she's next to a couple where from my perspective, I could hear them like having a conversation. Like I couldn't exactly hear what they were saying, but I could hear them talking all throughout the movie, like just having legit conversations, right? And then his fucking asshat of a girl kept repeating lines of the movie back like it was a fucking echo going on, right? So they were doing that over there, but that was all I could hear, was kind of like just the mumblings of them talking. I didn't find out till after the movie, and this is coming from my significant other, where she was like, the guy must have seen the movie already, because he was telling his girlfriend what was going to happen next in the upcoming scene. Like, because she kept asking him, well, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? And he kept on like answering all of her questions and shit like that, right? So that was going on. Behind us, there was a guy who was a very obnoxious laugher. Like, I don't want to make fun of people laughing, like, or I don't want to make fun of how they laugh, but this dude was like just obnoxious. Like, there were funny scenes. The movie was funny, obviously, but it ain't that goddamn funny, dude. It's like, have a little bit of restraint. And I'm a loud laugher myself when I'm at home. Like, I let my freak flag fly when there's like funny shit happening on screen. But when I get into the theater, dude, like, I hold myself back, man. You know, I cover my mouth up, you know. I may kind of like, you know, like some shit like that. This motherfucker was literally behind us. Like, something would happen that would be funny, and the crowd would be like, ha, 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 ha. This motherfucker was like, like, literally, like, that shit was happening. And it happened to the point, it was happening so much that I gave him the fucking look around, dude, where I was literally just like coming back like this. But he still kept doing it. Like, the fucking over the shoulder look didn't do anything. It was horrible. In front of us, down on the ground seats, there was a person in a wheelchair. Okay, and I'm not making fun of the person in the wheelchair. That sucks. For whatever reason that you end up in that chair, like, it sucks. All right, but this person's wheelchair was on. Like, there was a green light in the back of his chair. I don't know what the green light means. And then he had like a little screen off to his right, which was pretty much like a fucking cell phone. Okay. And I was close enough and I got a good enough eyesight where I'm looking at his screen and I'm like, I don't see any kind of subtitles going on. All I see is like different icons for his chair positions on the screen. So I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm just like, what is going on with this chair right now? Like, why can't you at least turn the screen off? It's like, you got a green light in the back of your chair. You got a little TV screen in front of you that's not really adding anything to the movie. Like, what the hell is going on? I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt and maybe like the sound of the movie is funneling through his chair and he's like hearing it in his ears through a headset or some shit like that. But it just looked like he was a person sitting in a wheelchair watching the movie with all these fucking lights flickering around and shit. Like, it was horrible. I would go as far as to say that could have been my worst theater experience. I've definitely been through some bad ones, but this one might have taken the cake. So obviously I had to go see the movie a second time so I could like fully enjoy it the way it was intended to be enjoyed. So it's crazy, dude. And that whole time I want to flip out. I want to slap somebody around. I want to take my drink and shove it in their face. I want to get up. Every time I want to get up and grab like the manager and just bring them into the theater and be like, these motherfuckers right here, get them out. Give him a free movie ticket because you're making me miss shit coming here and talking to you and complaining and everything. So, like, handle all this, right? Like, all that shit, I wanted to do all that, but I can't. I can't go tell the manager because I'm from the streets. I got that G code. I can't be snitching or anything like that. But it's like, man, it was bad. We should have got up and left, but I really wanted to see the movie. She wanted to really see the movie. So, it was just, there's nothing I could do. I was in between a rock and a hard place, but next time, I might have to get my ass up and just leave and go and watch it another time in better circumstances. But like, once again, this all just goes back to me just being like, when the day comes, when the movie theaters get shut down and they just start having all the movies in theaters just immediately go to your house and you can watch them on demand, I'm gonna be there front row. And I'm gonna be sad because I can't go to theaters anymore. But you know what? Y'all motherfuckers did this to yourselves. Now, I've been sending out tweets to the theater people, like letting them know, like, hey man, something's gotta happen. Like, maybe y'all need to design a theater that's got like little personal pods that you can get in, so like, you know, it's soundproof. You can't hear anything like besides the movie inside of it or some shit like that. I know that's a little far-fetched and, you know, completely outrageous, but something's gotta happen. I'd be down if y'all just gave out some headphones, like some big old studio headphones to put on and listen to that shit. But obviously that's not gonna be that comfortable either. But I mean, it's better than listening to all these crazy motherfuckers be a bunch of asshats. So yeah, there's that. Now, I know that there's some sensitive people out there, so I'm not gonna, you know, say, you know, I wish that all those disruptive bastards in the theaters would just die a very slow and painful death way before the gods intended them to die. Like, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to honestly say I wish nothing but the worst for all you shitbag motherfuckers, okay? That's all I'm going to say, all right? So, just leave it at that. Moving on to the next story. Christopher Nolan could be directing either the next or just a James Bond movie, period. So over on Screen Rant, again, they had this story where Christopher Nolan's production company, I think it's pronounced Syncope or Syncope, I don't know. They've been listed as the production company that's going to be producing the next James Bond movie. So with that would bring in that Christopher Nolan may have like some kind of role in the next James Bond movie, whether he's like executive producing or maybe even directing. So being the type of guy that he is, I would assume that he would probably throw his hat in to direct a movie as well as produce it. But Christopher Nolan is also one of those directors where they like to wear the three hats, where they're doing the directing, the writing, and the producing. Now, I did a story a while back about the next James Bond movie, and they got the two writers from like the last couple movies of James Bond. They're currently working on the next Bond movie. So it begs the question of, if Christopher Nolan were to direct it, would he just wear the hat of director and producer, or would he also like get in there and do some writing? And then the other question is, would he be down to write with other people, or would he want to just like kind of strong arm it and be like, I'm writing this shit, like I'm Christopher Nolan, bitch. So I don't know how that all is going to shake out right now. All I know is that I would really like to see a James Bond movie directed by Christopher Nolan. I think he's not my favorite director, but he's definitely like up there. I would say like maybe even top 5 directors for me. I think he's a very fascinating person. His movies kind of like have this gritty feel to them. Like, I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was like Tarantino, where they use actual film to do their movie still. I don't know if he uses digital cameras or not, but his movies always have like this grit to them. Like, they look so like visceral, you know? So I do like that with his style. His movies are also like really tight. Like, they're not exactly convoluted. There's a lot of shit that goes on in his movies, but it's not enough to where it's gonna like send me into mass confusion. I think the only movie that I couldn't really fully understand that he did was Memento, but I still enjoyed that movie. But everything after that, like, is just, it's a really tight story. He explains everything. You know, he doesn't like just spoon feed you what's going on in the movie. Like, he does like the abstract things as well, where you got to kind of interpret what's going on, and if you're paying attention, like the interpretations will be backed up with his direction. So that's what I really like about Christopher Nolan's movies. Another reason why I would be interested in him directing is because then that kind of opens the door for Tom Hardy to play the role of James Bond. Because I think he's even gone on record to say that he'd be interested in playing that character if Nolan was involved with that movie in some form or fashion. So that's going to be interesting to see. We still don't know what the hell is going on with Daniel Craig, whether he's coming back or not. I don't know what he's doing currently, but it is starting to get to the point where it's kind of shitty of him to leave everybody in the dark and just have this big question mark on whether he's going to come back or not. Like, I don't know, man. Like, if you don't want to do anymore, just don't do it. I mean, just do like Sean Connery did. Just take a break, miss out on a movie or two, and you can come back next time, like Connery did. Just stop holding up the train, Craig. Like, Jesus. There's also some other shit going on. There's like film rights that are jumping back and forth between other companies. So it's not just Craig holding up the train for this whole thing. Like, the studios are kind of like playing their part and keeping this whole thing tangled up. But I'm gonna keep a close eye on what's going on with this whole thing. As far as Nolan, whether he could like direct and produce a movie without writing it, he has done that before. I think what was the movie that he did? I know, like, in BVS, he was the executive producer. What his role exactly was in that movie, I have no idea. He could have just been like saying yes to a couple of things that they put in front of him. I don't know if he had really a hands-on role with the movie BVS. There's another movie where I think it was Insomnia. Wasn't that with Robin Williams? Like, what did he do? See, he didn't write that movie. He didn't write Insomnia, but I guess he wrote or he directed and produced it. So it's not too out of the norm for him to like do a movie that he had no writing control over whatsoever. So still up in the air on whether or not he's gonna do this movie or not. But I got high hopes for my boy Christopher Nolan. So another movie that is kind of up in the air right now on whether it's going to get made. Well, I guess it actually is getting made. Hellboy is getting rebooted. The creator of Hellboy, what is this? Mike Mignola. He's come out and said that the franchise is getting rebooted. They're getting a new director. They're getting a new actor. Neil Marshall is going to be directing it so far, and David Harbour is going to play the role of Hellboy, taking over for Perlman. So there's that. They're talking about how it's going to get an R rating. So once again, another comic book franchise is trying to capitalize on Deadpool's success of being rated R. So it doesn't really surprise me that they want to hit that R rating. And when you think about it, Hellboy is actually kind of dark, with him being a fucking devil and shit, and them fighting demons and opening the gates of hell and all this other shit. It's pretty mature content, so not too surprising that they want to hit that R rating. I don't really care about Hellboy. I'm not a huge fan of that franchise. The first movie was meh. The second movie was eh. The only reason why I added this story is because I like Del Toro and I like Ron Perlman. And it kind of sucks that they got shafted on this whole thing because they both had said they wanted to do a third Hellboy movie. And I guess they were kind of like getting something in the works to get it made. But it's not surprising that they got booted just because I don't think those movies were received very well. I think they, at the very least, they probably had a cult following. But I don't ever remember them being like really big hit movies when they were out at the time. So it's not a huge surprise that they kind of like kicked them to the curb and they're trying to reboot everything, to capitalize on the whole comic book shit. So we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. The director, Neil Marshall, his name doesn't ring a bell, but the projects he's done does. He directed the first and second The Descent movies, which I enjoyed. He also directed Doomsday, which was another movie I enjoyed. The David Harbour guy is, I mean, I've seen him in a lot of movies, but the most notable roles that I know him in was the sheriff in Stranger Things, which he was pretty cool. So I expect to see a lot of him using that big ass rock hand, just blasting people in the face the same way he did in Stranger Things. So that'll be cool. Whether I'm gonna go see this movie or not, I don't know yet. I need to see a trailer first. But right now, I'm not really that interested in watching it. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they'll make it a little bit more spooky and eerie now that they got that R rating. So we'll just have to wait and see. Another movie that was kind of like on the fence of being received well or not was Edge of Tomorrow. You all may know it as Live, Die, Repeat, which is a horrible title. I refer to it as The Edge of Tomorrow because that's a fantastic title for a movie. Why they changed it, I have no fucking idea. But that movie has been greenlit for a sequel. It's still kind of like on the fence on whether it will actually happen or not. So the director of the first movie, I think his last name is pronounced Lehman, Doug Lehman. He did movies. He did Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He did something else too besides Edge of Tomorrow. But he did some other stuff that I liked. But he did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I like that movie as well. So it's cool that he's coming back. Tom Cruise is gonna be back, and Emily Blunt just said that she's gonna be back as well. The movie has a title officially, and the title of this movie is even worse than the retitled of the first movie. It's going to be called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. It's like, oh my gosh, dude! Like, The Edge of Tomorrow 2, like that could have worked. What else? I wrote down some other titles that they could have used. I got The Edge of Yesterday, The Edge of Today, The Edge of Infinity. Like all those are like way better than Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. So like, man, you want to talk about scaring some people away? Like that is a shitty ass title for a movie. Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. Anyway, I'm excited about this. If you didn't see The Edge of Tomorrow, you need to go and see it. If you didn't see it, you should like skip ahead because I'm going to get into some spoiler territory here. Statute of limitations, people. I think that movie has been out for maybe like 2, maybe even 3 years now. So you need to get your shit together. So if you plan on seeing it, and you should if you haven't seen it, like skip ahead because we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers here. I'm being nice. Giving you a spoiler warning. I shouldn't be doing that. So what's going on here is that they got the story being made right now. I guess the story that they're doing is based off of Tom Cruise's original pitch. I think it was the original pitch for, it's either the sequel or the first movie. I don't know, but like they're working off of that. So I don't know what that pitch is, but that's what they're working off of. Tom Cruise is coming back. Emily Blunt's coming back. If you remember back with the first movie with Edge of Tomorrow, they killed the mother brain or whatever the fuck that thing was, and the blood went into Tom Cruise, and he got the power to control time, and he went like all the way back to where they were about to do the final assault on the alien species. What were they called? Mimics or something? The Mimics. I think that's what they were called. Did they call them that in the movie? I mean, I'm getting the movie confused with the book that it's based off of, and I think in the book they were called Mimics. But either way, we're just gonna call them Mimics. So they were like, he rewound back to where they were gonna do the final assault on them. So trying to figure out what this movie is gonna be about. I mean, you got the repeat and repeat, so it's obvious that there's gonna be some more time jumping going on. Now, with him having the power to control time, are they going to go back even further, like to where the Mimics first invaded and trying to stop that? or like are they gonna go into the future or some shit? Like, I don't know. Is it just gonna solely be about him controlling time, or is there gonna be other people that are gonna control time with him and they're gonna have to juggle that around? Like, I have no idea, but I'm very excited for it. I'm hoping that it gets made. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get made. I know it's on the fence right now, but as long as Tom Cruise is down to do it, it's gonna get made, because Tom Cruise has that kind of pull in Hollywood. If he wants a movie made, it's gonna be made. So I know everybody's busy with shit right now. Like, I guess the director Doug Liman is busy doing some movie called The Wall, so he's busy promoting that or whatever, because I think he finished filming it and that's going to be coming out pretty soon. But I'm sure he's busy like trying to promote that movie and shit. I know Cruise is busy probably promoting The Mummy right now, but I think he's also in the middle of filming Mission Impossible 6, so there's that. And then Emily Blunt, I looked up her shit, and I guess she's busy doing a Mary Poppins movie. So everybody's like kind of booked right now schedule wise, but like I said, is if Tom Cruise is down, the movie's getting made. So hopefully it gets made fast enough to where Emily Blunt doesn't drop out, because she was a key figure in that movie, and I love Emily Blunt. So let's not fuck this up, people. All right, so there you have it. And it's gonna be about it for the news. Let's get to the trailers. Trailer. I watched the trailer for The Dark Tower. So I guess in the geek world, or whatever you want to call it, this is a really, really big deal. I had absolutely no idea what the hell Dark Tower was. I know that it's based off of some books that I did not read, and I think Stephen King wrote them. And although I do enjoy the works of Stephen King, I had never heard of Dark Tower before, outside of just the news that a movie was getting made. Like, it was one of those things where the news just kept trickling out one by one for this whole thing, where it first got announced that they were going to make a Dark Tower movie. And I was like, what the hell is Dark Tower? And then it got announced that they had a director for Dark Tower. And then I was like, what the hell is Dark Tower? And I mean, as I sit here asking what is Dark Tower, I never got like intrigued enough to like actually look up what Dark Tower was. Like, I just slowly got information like it was this book that Stephen King wrote like way back in the day, and now it's being made into a movie, and it's supposed to be like a real big deal, you know? So like, I'm kind of interested, but not like fully interested. And I didn't get interested until it was announced that Idris Elba was going to be in the movie. And then I went from being like non-interested to just like, gentlemen, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. So yeah. So I like started getting interested then. Still not enough to where I was like looking up what the hell Dark Tower was. I was just like, Idris Elba's in it. Well, if we get a good trailer, maybe I'll go see it, right? So the trailer recently came out. I looked at it, and that movie looks weird as shit. So apparently, like, judging from the trailer, like, Idris Elba is like a gunslinger who's like this guardian in a different realm or alternate realm or something. And there's this tower that protects that realm from our realm, which is like the real world. And I guess there's a man in black who's played by Matthew McConaughey, and he's trying to tear down the tower and maybe like merge the worlds together or something. And all the fucking dark shit in Idris Elba's realm goes into the real world or whatever like that. And so like Idris Elba has to like track down Matthew McConaughey and keep him from doing that. And there's like a kid involved, so he's gonna be babysitting throughout the movie. So yeah, like that's pretty much what I got from the trailer. Like I said, it looks weird, but luckily for them, I like weird and I like Idris Elba, so definitely gonna go check the movie out. Doesn't hurt that you got Matthew McConaughey in there as well, playing a villain, so that might be interesting. So looking forward to seeing this movie, I guess. And maybe I'll get interested enough to actually read the books after I watch it. I will not be reading the books before I see the movie because I would like to go in fresh, and then we'll read the books later. Don't worry, it's fine. I did it with the Hunger Games, and it was fine. I watched the Hunger Games movies first, and then I read the books after. Well, I watched the first Hunger Games movie, and then I read the books after that, and I was like, yeah, the books are a lot better than movies. So don't worry, guys. Like, there's still room for the book to be better than the movie. So, but God damn it all to hell, I forgot to look up when it was coming out, but. Whatever, dude. It's probably going to come out in the summer or some shit like that. I don't know, but Dark Tower, yeah. Plan on checking that out. Let's just cut the shit, okay? Let's stop with all this news and trailers going on. We all know what we're here for. We're here for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I went to see twice. You know why I had to see it twice. I have a problem seeing it twice, but So, there's two common formulas used for sequels to movies where the first one was like just damn near perfect, right? Two common formulas that are used. One, you're going to get a new adventure, you get the same character or characters to return, and you put them on a new adventure, and you expand on the story. Like, you either continue where you left off in the first movie, or you just do like a whole new story period, but you're expanding the world that you built in the first movie. You're expanding the characters that you introduced in the first movie, And there's good examples of this and there's bad examples of this. A good example is John Wick 2, The first John Wick was just like a phenomenal movie, right? So then, John Wick 2 comes along and it's just as good. It expands the world that was introduced, it expands more about the character and his lifestyle and all that shit. There's more action, everything. It's great. But then there's bad examples like, I don't know, like, say like Triple X, State of the Union, which like, the movie was okay. Like, I enjoyed it for the most part, but it kind of like, Samuel Jackson came back, and I think that tech guy came back too. But either way, like, that movie was alright, but they kind of like fell into the whole like just trying to make it bigger than the last movie and shit like that. But still, the second formula used is the sequel is exactly the same as the first movie. They just like do a palette swap on everything, and there's good examples of that. And bad examples. A good example is Horrible Bosses 2. The first Horrible Bosses was a good movie and it was funny. And Horrible Bosses 2 was also good and funny. But like when you really break it down to what happened in that movie, it pretty much hits like the same beats as the first movie. They just kind of like switched some shit up. Instead of a car chase by one guy, there's a car chase with them getting chased by all the fucking cops and shit to that warehouse, trying to, beat Chris Pine to it, right? So, like, they kind of expanded on the world, they expanded on the characters, but they kind of, like, did the same type of jokes, maybe a little bit bigger than the last, And then there's the bad examples like The Hangover 2, which Hangover 2 is exactly like Hangover 1, but instead of them being in Vegas getting drunk and passing out, they're in Bangkok getting drunk and passing out. Instead of them racing back in a car to get to their wedding in time, they're racing back on a boat to get to a wedding in time. It's just like the same shit, but just like bigger. They just made it bigger. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Volume 2 is the former of those two formulas, and that's why the movie was so damn good and why I enjoyed it. So the gang is back. All right, Rocket's back, Baby Groot's back, Quill is back, Gamora, Drax, Yondu, everybody, almost everybody. They're back. The ones you care about are back. The camaraderie is there. They're joking around with each other. They're fucking heckling each other and shit. It's all good. Like, everybody's back doing their thing again. Chronologically, I want to say that this movie probably takes place a month, maybe 2 months after the first movie ends, because they're all together, they're still as a team, and they're getting along for the most part, but at the same time, they still don't fully know each other. There's still a little bit of friction here and there between everyone in the team, so there's still that going on. So like the general synopsis of the movie is the Guardians are on the run from a client that they were working for, and they're on the run from this client because Rocket decided to give in to his ancestral genes, and has like this client has like this whole entire like army chasing after them around the galaxy, right? And while fleeing this client throughout the movie, they also run into Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord's dad. So if you remember back in the first movie when they kept on hinting about who his dad was and stuff like that, his dad is in this movie. So it explores that whole relationship between those two. And I'll leave it at that. If you haven't seen the movie, you should go see it. So it was very good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'll leave it at that with the synopsis. But here's the thing. You need to be warned right now if you haven't seen it already. This movie is very, very emotional. Okay? And that's not a bad thing either. It's just it's like the first movie had some emotional moments, you know, like kind of like we're trying to jerk at your tears a little bit, you know, trying to get you to drop something out of your eyelids. The first movie had it a little bit, but like this movie, they just go full blown into the emotional realm. Like there's times where somebody will be joking around and be like, oh, you know, you thieving bastard, and then the person just like goes into this whole monologue. He's like, oh, you don't understand, I had to steal to live. My daddy didn't give me anything, but he gave my children all. Why do I have to be so lonely? Like it's some shit like that, right? Like they're literally trying to make you cry in this movie, but it's cool. I'm all about it because, like I said, the world is being expanded. They're explaining more shit going on in the galaxy. You're meeting new races. You're meeting new characters. There's new characters that get involved with the Guardians, and they're just as interesting as the Guardians are. So all that stuff was really cool. And I would say, like, one of the mistakes that a lot of sequels or a lot of people make with sequels is they just intentionally try to make everything bigger. And I feel like James Gunn did a really good job. Like him and his crew did a really good job at like making an organic sequel. And it's just coincidence that some stuff happens to be a lot bigger than what it was in the first movie. So I really appreciate that. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I was gonna say like there's like two things that I feel like that he intentionally went bigger from the first movie. Was just the visual effects is one, which is to be expected because if they're flying around in space, obviously there's going to be a lot of crazy shit that's popping up on the screen and them going to crazy planets and shit, right? So that's to be expected. And then the whole like emotional beats that the movie has, like he goes really big on those. But like I said, I found it to be enjoyable because it opens up the characters a lot more. You get a little bit more, you peel back another layer to their backstories and how they are the people that they are today in this movie. So I appreciate all that stuff. So like props to James Gunn for keeping an organic progression with things. But on that note, James Gunn, I'm sorry dude, but fuck you, man. Fuck you for Baby Groot. All right, I'm gonna say that right now. Don't get me wrong, Baby Groot's awesome. I really enjoyed him. Honestly, like he reminded me of my dog, the way he was in that movie, just so innocent but like deadly at the same time. Dude, like that was one of those things in the movie theater where, and this is to be expected too. And I knew James Gunn knew what he was doing, you know, and I feel really sorry or really bad about the artists that had to make Baby Groot. Like, I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming James Gunn, because I just imagine the artists just sitting down at their desk and they're drawing like chibi Baby Groots, and they're showing it to James Gunn. He's like, cuter, he needs to be cuter. And then they finally give him the final drawing. It's just like, yes, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with joy of how cute he is. Like, I know that shit happened. Don't even lie and say that shit didn't happen. But this was how it was in the movie theater, dude. Every time Baby Groot popped up on screen, I can't. Oh, I need him. I want him. He's so cute. He's so cute. He's so adorable. I can't get enough. I just can't. I can't. Oh, I need him. I can't get enough. I just can't. It was like a brothel full of succubi, okay? Just a whole bunch of moaning and everybody just like losing their shit every time he popped up on screen. And I understand, dude, I was the same way, but like I said, I composed myself and I'm just sitting there with a little grin on my face like, it's a cute little bastard, you know? But, oh man, I can just imagine how much money they're gonna make. You know, there's gonna be a dancing Baby Groot. There's gonna be a tickle me Groot. There's gonna be all that shit. The plushies galore, man. Like they knew what they were doing. Surprisingly though, he did not chew up the screen as much as I thought they were gonna do. Like as soon as they had announced that he was gonna be in baby form in this movie, like I seriously thought that they were just gonna like pack him into every shot and just have him take up all the other characters shine by just like throwing him in there. And I mean, like, there's scenes where they show him where like he takes up the scene, but it's not like as egregious as you think it would be. It's the same way with Rocket, because I had the same worry with Rocket in the first movie, where I thought like a lot of that movie was just gonna be like Rocket in the scene just stealing everything, but that didn't happen. So I was very surprised to see that. Now, with all said and done, we got to get to the gripes, people. The gripes of wrath, as I like to call it. I've only got 3, okay? Movie's not perfect, okay? So it's just like, everybody just hold their shit. Now, the first gripe that I have should really be under the category of nitpicky. And this is to be expected as well, where this is a movie where they're in the galaxy, they're going to different planets, there's all this crazy shit happening. There's going to be a lot of acting on a green screen here, or a blue screen, or whatever the fuck color they're using nowadays. There's a lot of acting going on. The actors are still kind of stiff in certain situations where, like, I don't want to give shit away, but it's just like there's certain scenes where they look a little stiff, they look a little awkward in the scene. And it is to be expected, but I would just figure, like, in this day and age with so many movies using green screen, that there has to be some logical way to get around this, to where like maybe you could show them like what they're running around in or falling from, like just something along those lines to get a little bit better of how like they're reacting to things on the screen in the movie when the special effects are all around them. So that's just, but like I said, that's a nitpicky thing. I'm not gonna like hold that against the movie. It's still enjoyable. It's not like, it doesn't really like break me. It's just like little shit that I notice. The second gripe that I have, and this is like a really big gripe, is that Peter Quill is, I feel like out of all the characters, the movie does a good job at like giving everybody their time to shine. Like, you know, they've got their funny moments, they got their action moments, they've got their emotional moments, they got all their shit going on for them, right? Along with Quill, but I think like he is the one that kind of takes the hit, where I kind of feel he doesn't get enough screen time the same way he did in the first movie. And that's really weird to say, because seeing as how Peter Quill is the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the fact that Chris Pratt has top billing in the movie, and the movie, one of the plots of the movie centers around him meeting his dad for the first time. So you would think that he would get a lot more screen time or a lot more attention in the movie, but I feel like he was kind of pushed to the side this time. So if if you haven't seen the movie, you should go see it, and you can let me know if I'm being stupid here, you know. But I feel like he was kind of pushed aside in this movie, so there's that. Third gripe is I wasn't feeling the soundtrack this time. So here's the thing, and this may have just been because I was comparing it to the first movie, but the first time I saw the movie, I was kind of like, I don't really know about a couple of these song choices, man. Like, it's like the first movie, I was grooving every single time, just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like every jam they were playing, I was going along with it, right? This movie, like they will play a song and I'd be like, it's like, I don't know about that. I'm not really feeling this one. Then there'll be another song that pop up and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling what's going on here. I'm seeing what you're putting down. I'm digging it, right? But like, it was really like on and off for me with the soundtrack. The first movie soundtrack I feel fit with like what the emotion of the scene that you were watching. Like, I feel like the soundtrack really complemented the scenes of the first movie. In this movie, the soundtrack is more complementing what is happening in the scene, like what people are doing. Like, a lot of songs are kind of like really on the nose as to what characters are doing in the scene at the time when the music is playing. So like a good example I could use without spoiling anything is like, let's say somebody was tying their shoe, right? If someone was tying their shoe, then there would be a song that come on where it'd just be like, I was just tying my shoes, loop de loop, walking on the soles of my feet, some shit like that. Like, it was like that. And it was one of those things where I'm more of like a rhythm type of guy. I kind of like, it takes me a while before I can like start getting the lyrics of a song to where I actually start trying to hear what the song is actually about. I'm more of that dude that like sits in the club like dancing to a song about girls popping asses and sucking dicks and all kind of shit like that, but at the time I'm all about the beat, just going with the rhythm and everything like that. And then later on, after I've heard the song for like the 100th time, then I'm like, holy shit, this song is about ass popping and dick sucking. Like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? So just shit like that. But I will say, during a second viewing of the movie, the soundtrack grew on me. So I was just like, I'm feeling what you're putting down now. I understand, I can enjoy this a little bit more. So I was like, still not as good as soundtrack in the first movie, but still good, So, that's my thing. Those are the gripes, people. Other than that, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. It was everything I wanted to be, dude. I just wanted to see the Guardians go on to another adventure. That's it. I don't need you to like force shit, I don't want you to be like, oh, the last movie we had like 5 explosions, but this time we're gonna have 10,000 explosions, like I don't need shit like that. That's like some Michael Bay shit right there, with his Transformers movies, where it's like, it's just more explosions over and over again, and that was one of the things I was afraid of going into this movie when it first got announced that they were going to do a sequel, because like I said, the first movie was damn near perfect. I always like kind of have this inner conflict with myself when I think of all the Marvel movies in the MCU that have been out or that have been released. And I'm always trying to figure out like what was the best one out of all, right? And I usually jump back and forth between Guardians and Iron Man 3. But I always come back to Guardians and say like Guardians is the best Marvel movie that they've made for the MCU. And it mainly just has to do with it exists in its own realm, like I know there's shit that they're gonna pull from there to like coincide with the other movies, but it's like you can enjoy Guardians by itself. You don't have to watch Avengers and see a whole bunch of shit that was set up in there that pops up in Guardians and be like, oh, okay, like I understand like how we got to this point now. Like Guardians just exists on its own. And the sequel continues to do that, where it exists in its own thing. And if there's something that they want to pull from this, and I know they will for like the next Avengers movie, like great, but they started and ended like with its own thing. Like all you need to do is watch Guardians, the first Guardians, to like understand what's happening in the second Guardians, you know, because like I said, in the first movie they keep on like talking about Star-Lord's father, and then in this movie like they actually introduce his father and shit like that. So all that shit was great. Action's good, the jokes were good, you know, like there's more jokes going on, and like I said, it all just feels organic, like with that whole team and their camaraderie and stuff, like how comfortable they are with each other. It's good, man. I mean, a good comparison would be like the first Guardians of the Galaxy is when you're at a party and you're jamming out and you meet somebody else and you guys like hit it off and you end up hooking up that night. You know, Guardians 2 is the morning after, where you both realize that you're still sleeping in the same bed with each other, and then you start to like kind of pursue a relationship and get to know each other more. Like that's Guardians 2. So I feel like that's a good way to kind of compare that movie. So it was good, dude, and I highly recommend that you go see it if you haven't already. If you didn't like the first Guardians, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, I'm just playing. But if you didn't like the first one, you're probably not gonna like the second one, because the second one is just more of the first one, just like, you know, organic, you know. So with that, man, that's about all I got for you, man. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, must see. Closing out, I know that over on the YouTube channel, I'm a little behind on the videos. I got a little behind ever since I did the whole Jamaica trip. So I have them ready to go and ready to post. So if there's anyone who watches the videos on YouTube, which is like about 0 of you, those will be up pretty soon. So be ready for that. As far as like the audio listeners, you all enjoy what you're enjoying. As far as the videos go, like I don't mind doing the videos. I kind of have to, the way I make this whole thing, but I might stop doing the videos, like posting them, because there's not really a lot of people watching them. I feel like the people who were watching them found out that there was an audio version and decided to just move over there and listen to it, and that's completely fine, completely understand. I would prefer to just listen to this as well. I think it works better as an audio thing. But I'm probably gonna stop doing the videos after we hit episode 30, unless of course like there's some kind of jump in views. But I might end up just stopping, because that'll free up some more time for me, and that'll make it a lot easier to record this, because then I don't have to worry about always looking into the camera, because there's times where I don't look into the camera because I don't like looking at the camera, and I end up like looking off to the side, and then it just looks kind of weird on the video because I'm like looking off to the side and shit just randomly. So I don't know, but that's it, man. You all enjoy yourselves. You be safe out there. Stop being assholes in movie theaters and just watch and enjoy the movie, and be respectful of everybody's time around you. And yeah, so that was Movie Chewsday. Now is just another day. I am out.
And it was just another day. Yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies. Now it's a movie Tuesday.
Just another
A
day.
movie Tuesday.
Until a movie Chewsday.